The drinky today, lads, is, I believe, a gallon container of Arizona green tea. Did you know they sell those by, like, the gallon? They sell them by the gallon. Just not realizing I started this podcast with absolutely no preamble, just giving you all the visual of me drinking an Arizona green tea by the gallon. Is this a gallon? Guys, is 54 ounces a gallon? I don't think it is. This is not going well so far. You know what's crazy? I should, stop and start over, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. If you're new here, hello, my name is Emmy. Welcome to the Yapping Bit. If you're not new here, welcome back. This should not be a surprise to you. Or you know what? Actually, it might be. Because I usually do have a very specific, adorable little cup or something, and I, jiggle the ice for you so you can hear the aesthetics of my drink. I can't do that. That sounds graphic. Again, I should start over. I'm not going to. I'm all about authenticity over here on the Yapping Bit. I don't censor myself here in a way that I sometimes do on the internet, and I think that's gonna be particularly obvious today. That's not to say that I will be messy. I'll just be saying a lot of stuff that I'm afraid to say on the internet. Yeah, we have lots of plans. We're gonna get into it. Starting light, though, it's friggin' the catch-up bit, and what's so insane is that I, for some reason, when planning what I was gonna talk about today, I was like, damn, I don't have anything going on. I don't have anything to talk about during the catch-up bit, but the truth is that I do. I'm just so used to keeping this a secret because I've been keeping it a secret for so long. It's probably been almost a year now at this point. But on the day that this podcast is gonna go live, I'm gonna post a teaser that something is being announced tomorrow. So I figured, why don't I just tell you guys on the podcast? So if you listen to the podcast, you'll know a day before everyone else. I have been working on music, well, pretty much my whole life, actually. My entire life has pretty much been all about music, but I have started working seriously on music for the past maybe year or so. I think I started in June last year when I was in LA. And when I was in LA, I started working on a song called The Future with my producer, Chris, who I met through Maddie Beaver, Jim Beaver's daughter, who I'm friends with. You all, that's the tree, okay? That's the family tree we're talking here. And The Future, that song was so complicated because there were so many I wanted it to have a lot of different types of sounds in it. So first there was the day that we spent writing and recording it, and then Chris, my producer, had to go through and make it and build it into something a little more cohesive, and then we sent it over to a different mixer, so that way, a specialist mixer who does that for a living, so that way he could get his hands on it and everything would sound great. And it does. I think it truly does. But it also took until, I believe, September is when The Future was finished. And around that time, I had this idea to pair that song, The Future, with a song called Weaponized that I literally at that point only had the chorus kind of written. And between moving me down into the basement and everything, it was just, everything was so hectic and towards the end of last year and all of that. But at the beginning of this year, I reached out to Chris again and I said, hey, I know I'm not in LA, but how about we do something virtually? Here's the idea for the song. What do you think? He was down. We were working on it together. That was, I believe, in February. And just this past week, she is done. She's finished. She's all done. Which means that Weaponize the Future is done. Which means that I can tell everyone officially that yes, it will be coming out on June 12th this year. My debut music duology, Weaponize the Future. Coming out June 12th. Yay! I'm so excited. You guys don't even know. I'm trying to figure out how much exactly I want to say about it on the podcast right now. Because over the next 2 weeks until Weaponize the Future comes out, I am going to be posting quite a bit about them. I have a lot of really creative ideas for how I'm going to approach sharing the music with everybody, because I'm not interested in, and I know this works, where it's people will make videos about their songs, and they'll just post 5 videos with their song as an audio, a day. And that just does not seem like, I take the fact that I create content very seriously because I want to make things that are worth watching, things that I would want to watch, things that I like and care about. So I take all of that very seriously. So I don't want to just turn into a bot that only promotes my music. That is not what I'm looking to do. But I also do need a little bit to promote my music on there, because by nature of the fact that I'm quite literally just a girl throwing music into the universe, like I'm not signed or anything. So instead I'm going to post a bunch of videos talking kind of about the music and what it's about, where the songs came from, some of the inspiration behind them, without getting too in the weeds, because I'm sort of, fun fact, not really allowed to tell anyone the truth about what these songs are about. I'm not allowed to name any names. I'm not allowed to say anything, but I am allowed to speak vaguely, you know? Vague enough. I feel like maybe people will figure it out. Maybe they won't. Probably for the best if they don't, actually. But whatever. You know what? Here's what I will fucking say. Every single, lyric, every single melody, every single piece of everything that I am releasing and saying and doing within the month of June with regards to my music, every single drop of it, all of it is intentional. Okay? If you're sitting there going, well, surely this was a coinky-dink, I pinky promise you, none of it is a coinky-dink. Everything is very intentional. Unless this is being used in a court of law, in which case I'm kidding. I'm joking. But I suppose I wish you all the best of luck in decoding everything. What's insane too is there's probably going to be people who are going to be like, oh my god, I bet this is about me. And listen, I'm being so messy right now. I should delete this. I'm not going to delete it. No, fuck it. No. I will never truly say what these two songs are about. Particularly Weaponize. Weaponize is a very specific song that I will never be able to share the meaning behind, okay? But if someone happens to hear Weaponize, or the future, honestly, and thinks that maybe I'm kind of talking about how I felt when they treated me a certain way, I'm just gonna say, if the shoe fucking fits, you better lace that bitch up and run. I think that's a great way to end the catch-up bit. This is gonna get me in a lot of trouble. Guys, we need to keep this between us. This is fucking podcast baddie family business, alright? Don't let anyone else in our house. Don't be telling people this shit, okay? We're gonna get into the feelings bit now. And you know what's crazy? We're gonna be messy in the feelings bit, too. What am I posting? What am I putting on the internet? Last month's feelings bit was about... Last month's feelings bit was about the importance of removing ourselves from the slot machine scrolling monster. That's what I talked about. It was bring back hobbies, bring back creativity, bring back being a person. That's what it was. And honestly, this month is also kind of that, but in a different way. And I almost didn't talk about this. This is another thing where I was like, I shouldn't even talk about this. But I was having such a feeling. Such a feeling. This month, I want to talk about bringing back thinking things through. Oh, okay? And I know that it's really crazy for me to be saying that on a podcast when I'm being this messy. I'm being very messy this month. But there is a fucking epidemic on the fucking internet right now, and I'm swearing because I'm pissed off. Why doesn't anyone think before they open their mouths? Why doesn't anyone consider any alternatives for anything at all besides their first immediate thought and reaction to a thing? What happened to sleeping on it? What happened to thinking for a second before we form an opinion? What happened to those very crucial things in our society? I know this isn't the fandom bit, so I'm not going to talk a ton about the finale for the boys, but that is what sort of stemmed this thought process in my brain recently. And if you haven't seen the boys, don't worry, I am going to make this comprehensible to everybody, pinky promise. You'll know what I'm talking about. But the ratings for the boys finale on IMDb are now lower than the ratings for the Stranger Things finale. And that was a widely hated finale. That was everyone was going around being like, they just ruined the show. That was the general consensus I was getting from that fandom. And people are saying that the boys finale is worse than that. And when I went online trying to look for reasoning as to why people were saying this, it was a lot of people looking at the finale and being like, well, this doesn't make sense. And the reason it doesn't make sense is because no one is comprehensively engaging with media anymore. The Deep is a character whose powers are derived from the ocean. Why would Starlight bring the Deep to the beach to try and kill him? Hey guys, have we had a think? Have we thought with our little brains for 5 fucking seconds and realized that Starlight obviously was not planning to kill him? And I fear her bringing the Deep to the beach is how we're supposed to know that Starlight's plan is not to kill him. It's all intentional. Guys, we need to start using our noggins. The character MM is a human, and he uses his strength to kill a superhero named Oh Father. And I have seen about 1,000 tweets of people being like, well, how was MM strong enough to kill the superhero? Hey guys, I fear that's the point. I fear the point is that the superhero, Oh Father, wasn't that strong to begin with. I fear that's the point. Guys. All of these are conclusions that people obviously could have come to on their own if they thought for 3.5 seconds before they threw every single cognitive thought that they had on the internet. The internet is so black and white. There is no middle ground. There is no, well, let's see if we can find a motive. Let's see if we can find an explanation. There is only, this is what this is, and this is what it is not. There is no one's trying to learn anymore. No one is looking at anything. Well, I feel like I'm speaking in a lot of absolutes. Most people are not looking at the world and trying to find deeper layers than surface level. Was the show written badly, or do you just not understand it? If you are confused by someone's action, have you taken a minute to think about why the action occurred? And I say this in both a positive and a negative way. If someone treated you like crap and you're like not sure why it happened, think for a second about what their perspective of the situation could possibly be. And similarly, if someone who's ordinarily garbage randomly starts treating you really great, think about motive. Think about the why. We all need to start asking why more. I think this is all the fault of the rise of AI. I'm being dead serious. Have I made it graphically and abundantly clear that I hate AI with like a visceral passion? Like, it's visceral and intense. It really is. There is absolutely 0 point in my life where I'm like, wow, you know what would really help if I could just pop that into AI? No. I use AI to make my grocery list. Think of a grocery list. Think. Use your brain. Think of a grocery list. I like using AI's perspective when I'm trying to figure out how to approach different situations. Think about how to approach the situation. We are not valuing time inside of our own minds enough. I'm being so serious. Start valuing your own thoughts and take the time to prioritize them in your daily life. Wow. Guys, I think I kind of ate with that. I really do. We should go to the Rex bit now. We should go to the Rex bit because the Rex bit is going to be like way more chill. We can finally like settle down for a second. I'm so sorry. I feel like the first 14 minutes of this podcast have been a mess. Okay, recommendations. So the last time I talked to you guys about books I was reading, I was on, I believe, like the second book of ACOTAR. I have finished the second book of ACOTAR. I'm almost halfway through the third book. And I don't want to talk about like actual plot points in these books because I don't want to give anything away. But so far, and mind you, I'm not done with the third book yet, but so far my ranking of the ACOTAR books is A Court of Mist and Fury, so the second one is my favorite. Under that is A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the one that I'm reading right now, because I think it's like paced kind of a little bit slower. It's about a lot of fantasy world politics, if that makes sense, which is why it's kind of ranked a little bit lower for me, because I like the the dramatics of it all. And this one hasn't been as dramatic so far. And I'm like 350 pages in. And then my least favorite so far is the first book, A Court of Thorns and Roses, like the first one, which I feel like now that I've been a little bit speaking to people who have read these books, that's kind of a general consensus. Like the first book is kind of whatever. Once you get towards the end of the first book, cool stuff starts happening. And then the second book is really when you hit the ground running. So if you're interested in reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, that's what I think. If you've already read A Court of Thorns and Roses, feel free to hop into my DMs on Instagram or whatever and just talk about it. Although I don't spoil anything, I'll kill myself. Don't spoil anything. Please only talk to me about like the first and second book and then like the beginning of the third book. As far as things I've been actually watching, I know last month I talked about The Testaments on Hulu, the spinoff for The Handmaid's Tale, and I was singing its praises last month, but let me tell you, last month Emmy had no idea. Last month Emmy, she was just a girl. She was just a little tiny princess who had no idea what was in store for her because this show has gotten phenomenal. Oh my God, it's gotten so good. It's so good. You know what's crazy? At the time you're listening to this, the finale of the first season has already aired. So I'm like, I almost want to ask you, how did it go? How did it go? I'm on Testament's TikTok. Like, I'm watching the videos about this series. I'm like theorizing with people in a fandom that I love The Handmaid's Tale, but I've never like engaged with the fandom. But I'm like theorizing with people. I'm having such a great time. This show is so insane. This show, the penultimate episode, like the one before the last episode of the season, it was so good. My jaw was on the floor for the last 20 minutes. It was that good, guys. It was so good. And we're for sure getting a season 2, which is really exciting. Yeah, guys, you guys. And I love shows that are led by women. Oh my God. I didn't realize how tired I was of watching shows that are only like 99% men until this show came on and it's like 99% women. And I'm like, oh my God, is this how men feel all the time? I must admit, I am like 2% full of shit though, because I'm saying that, but I'm also telling you guys that I did start watching Breaking Bad for the first time this month. And that show is honestly kind of a penis fest. Like, I think there's maybe There's two women that I can think of off the top of my dome right now. But I was looking for something new to watch, something that was like already done so I could binge it. And Breaking Bad is like the highest rated television show in history on IMDb. And I had never seen an episode and I was like, well, I'll just throw on the friggin' pilot. I'll throw on the pilot. I'll sit down and actively watch the pilot and decide if it's for me. And I cannot stress enough that it is. It is. And what made me want to sit down and watch it actually was the fact that a YouTuber, because I've heard of this show before, right? Everyone's heard of Breaking Bad. But it's a show about a guy who cooks meth. It didn't seem like it would be my speed. And then a YouTuber that I watched named Drew Gooden, who I really love, he was talking about Breaking Bad and Bryan Cranston's acting in it. And he mentioned that the show is about Walter White, Bryan Cranston's character, becoming the main villain, if you will, of the show. And I was like, oh no, that sounds interesting. We are watching a protagonist derail to a point where we are not even going to root for him eventually. That's so interesting to me. That's so sick as far as like storytelling and concepts go that I was just like, oh, I will be starting this now. And I am very glad that I did. I am. I posted a video about this where like I saw DJ in one of the episodes and I was like, oh my God. But I'm on season 3. I will keep you guys posted. Pinky promise. And finally, I'm reluctant to talk about this because I haven't actually seen it yet. But by the time this podcast comes out, I definitely will have seen it because I'm definitely going opening weekend to the theater. Backrooms is coming out. Probably the weekend that this is going up. I will be sad. I love an original concept. I love an original horror movie. I'm so excited about it. Full transparency, I saw like clips from the trailer and I was so enthralled that I stopped watching the trailer and I'm actively avoiding any information about what this movie is actually about so that way I can go in as blind as physically possible because visually and conceptually, this film looks so interesting. And I just want to be like locked in. I don't want to have any expectations. So I'll let you know how that goes next month, I guess. All right, let's get into the fandom bit now. I wish I had more I feel like I've been talking too much, like making yappy videos on my Instagram and TikTok too much this month, because I feel like I've said a lot of the stuff that I wanted to say about the finale for The Boys and the trailer for Vought Rising. But I do think I can be a little bit more open about my feelings and thoughts and opinions of Vought Rising on the podcast. And this isn't to say that I'm not excited for Vought Rising. Obviously, I am. Obviously. I think the Boys universe is so interesting, and I'm really glad that it's being expanded. I'm glad that it's not completely going away. I feel about Vought Rising similarly to how I initially felt about the Winchesters. Like, when that series was initially announced, I was like, why the hell would I want a backstory for, like, John Winchester, who's, like, an abusive asshole? Why would I want that? But I watched the Winchesters, and I honestly grew to love the Winchesters. And I mean, it was not the same John Winchester, so that definitely helped. But as far as Vought Rising goes, I feel like there's just an element in my brain of, like, I love Jensen, obviously. I think he does an incredible job portraying Soldier Boy. But that said, I don't like Soldier Boy, like, as a person. Like, I'm not rooting for him as a character in general when I'm watching The Boys, because he's, like, a racist piece of garbage who sympathized with Nazis. Like, I feel like I'm not supposed to like him. So why do I care about his backstory if I don't like him? Why do I care about the time he spent fraternizing with Nazis? Why do I give a shit, And I was really hoping, like, really, when by heart of hearts I was hoping that we would see the trailer for Vought Rising and I would be like, oh, okay, I have a clear sense of what the show is about now. I feel like I can get on board. But, like, that trailer, and I don't mean to, like, be critical or whatever, but, like, that trailer didn't really tell us anything about what the actual concept and story of the show is. That trailer kind of felt like if you slapped a collage together and then put it in video form. Like, it felt more like a mood board to me than it did, like, actually explaining what the plot of the story is. And I say this as someone who watched it multiple times, looking for any kind of potential plot points, anything like that. It really doesn't give you that, because I think in their heads, we know what the story of the show is going to be. And it's the backstory between Soldier Boy and Stormfront, who is a Nazi. And I just don't care about that. Like, I was hoping it would be about something else. And them not telling me that it's about something else in the trailer is making me nervous. It is. Also, don't think I didn't clock, and I said this in my video, don't think I didn't clock that Mark Pellegrino was not in the trailer. Come on, don't piss me off. Whoa, are you not proud? Are you not proud that he's on your show? Are you not proud? You hired the bigot to be on the Bigot show. Why aren't you proud of your bigot actor choice? Why? Why not? Could it possibly be because anytime anyone posts anything with him, there is an unprecedented amount of backlash? Because he's a bigot? Sorry, I don't mean to be, like, insane about this. You know what? I'll explain why I'm insane about this. I have multiple reasons. Number one, that man got into an argument with me on Twitter in 2022, and I don't let things go. I don't. I'm sorry. At the time, I was a substitute teacher, and he was making posts about how teachers should have guns in schools, and I was like, you're fucking crazy. And then I started schooling him on geography. It was a whole thing, honestly. I haven't given him a dime. I've had him blocked ever since. And if I'm at a convention and he's, like, on the panel for Supernatural, I will actively not get clips with him in it. Or I will crop him out of the clips that I do get, because I do not want to platform him in any way whatsoever. And the other thing is, I have had too many of you who are members of the trans community come to me and tell me that he made a comment about your pronouns or intentionally misgendered you, and that is not some shit that flies with me. No. No. We cannot just be passively supportive of the trans community, especially in 2026. We need to be loudly, proactively pro-trans, anti-transphobia, to a point where it needs to be like an active part of everyone's personality. And I cannot have that be an active part of my personality if I'm fraternizing or giving a shit about a transphobe. So, and obviously for legal reasons, these are just my experiences with him and the things that I have heard about him and the choices that I have made in regard to those choices. I am not telling any of you what to do. Y'all are welcome to do what you want to do. You just won't find me there. Oh my God. Oh my God. Sorry, I paused recording so I could see if I could find the thing that he said to me that made me decide to never ever speak to him again. Initially, the conversation that I was having about gun control with my friend did not include him. He just kind of jumped into the conversation and like wasn't leaving us alone. Like he really was like pestering us. It was crazy. This was in 2021. I'm looking at the screenshot right now. It ended with me being like, why are you trying to pick fights with us? Like we're having why are you trying to argue with us right now? What is your deal? Why are you picking fights on the internet with people who are smaller than you? What's the deal? And his response, and I'm quoting this directly, you can search for the tweet on twitter.gov, okay? From him, he said, to me, with Sebastian Roche tagged, by the way, but that's another story. Discussion is picking fights to a person whose opinions and self-esteem are on very shaken ground. And I feel like you all know me pretty well by now. Would you look at me and say that my opinions and self-esteem are on shaken ground? Is that how all of you would describe me, like, as a person? Is that... There's so much more lore there. Maybe I should make, I cannot make an updated video about that. Oh, God. Oh, God, I cannot post about, if I posted that full story on the internet, there would be a fucking uprising. Oh, good Lord. Nothing has happened or anything since that argument in 2021. I blocked him. He doesn't exist to me, whatever. But yeah, so that was a crazy argument. That was like an entire evening of my life with him just not leaving me and my friend alone. It was insane. And he is on the show about fictional bigots. Right. Got it. I'm dying to know how this is gonna go. It's time for the question bit. Thank God. Oh my God. What has this podcast been this month? Good Lord. Let's talk about some lovely things, because you guys, as always, ask me lovely, wonderful questions. These are all from my Instagram story, because I post a Q&A on there on every Saturday. If you would like me to answer a question in the question bit, feel free to ask over there. I'm always looking for these. Or you can email your questions to bestie.emmy@gmail.com. Okay, let's get into it. Paula told me that she hasn't really listened to Taylor Swift and wants to know if I have any song recommendations. You have opened quite the can of worms. You have. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you have heard the standard top 10, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The songs by Taylor that everybody knows. I'm assuming you've heard those and are looking for some more deep cut songs to find. For the most part, Taylor works with 3 different producers. She works with Jack Antonoff, obviously, everyone knows that one. Aaron Dessner, another person that a lot of people know. And she also worked with the team Max Martin and Shellback. Taylor uses these producers kind of like instruments, right? So she will use a specific producer for a specific album or song based on how she wants the song to sound. I am going to give you my favorite of each of these producers' songs that Taylor has done. And hopefully that will help you get a good understanding of the different types of songs and sounds that Taylor Swift will gear towards. And then you can, on your own, go and Google what other songs that Taylor has done with that producer to find your favorite songs by Taylor. Although I do encourage you, just go through her whole discography and find what you like. But this is a good way to start. The songs that Taylor does with Jack Antonoff are all about synth. Very synthy, very technologically made sounds. I think one of the best examples of this is My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, which is a song on the Tortured Poets department. It's also, in my opinion, some of Taylor's best lyrical writing because it uses a lot of different metaphors for being treated poorly in a relationship. It's actually my most streamed song by Taylor. It might be one of my most streamed songs on Spotify ever. I just checked. It is. The only thing above it is an instrumental song that I used to fall asleep to every night. Now, if we go to Aaron Dessner's work with Taylor is more folky, more acoustic. When Taylor's working with Aaron, there's usually some strings involved, which I love. For that, I think I'm going to refer you to Marjorie, which is a song about Taylor's grandmother, actually, but it's so beautiful. And then for Max Martin and Shellback, I have a hard time explaining their sound archetype because they do so many different things with Taylor. They did the entirety of her Reputation album and the entirety of The Life of a Showgirl, I believe, with her. Production-wise, though, it's very pop. Very, very pop. I almost want to refer you to Actually Romantic from The Life of a Showgirl. I don't know if that's like the best example to give you, but that's like my favorite, I think, that they've done. It would probably be smarter to recommend I Did Something Bad or Don't Blame Me from the Reputation era. So give those a try. How about that? I will say though, there are some, like those aren't the only people that Taylor ever works with. There are other songs with other producers that are really incredible. Like, let me find some. In the 1989 era, she did I Know Places with Ryan Tedder. Very important though that you listen to Taylor's version because Taylor's version is better than the original version. This is not always the case with Taylor's music, but this song in particular, Taylor's version, leaps and miles better. She did, I think, most of the Speak Now album with Christopher Rowe, and that album is very rock sounding. That was actually the first album of Taylor's that I really, really loved, so that's a good one. Okay, I've been answering you for over 3 minutes now, so I think I'm gonna have to stop myself. I could keep going for hours and hours and hours, but I hope that helps to break down a little bit of the different types of sounds that you can hear from Taylor, because I have this firm theory that everyone who's like, I hate Taylor Swift music, it's physically impossible because she has so many different sounds in her discography that, like, if you're saying you hate every single Taylor Swift song that exists, you're fucking wrong. You're wrong. There's one in there that you will like. You just gotta find it. Okay, C_noodles_, incredible username, by the way. Just knocked it out of the park. 10 out of 10. Asked me if I like musicals and what my favorite is. Hey, so another can of worms has just been opened, everybody. Beetlejuice, Hadestown, Mamma Mia, in no particular order, obviously. Dear Evan Hansen, Mean Girls. I freaking love musicals. I love musicals. The Greatest Showman, whenever that becomes a Broadway show, I will be front row. Trying to think of other ones. Hairspray. God, I love Hairspray. Oh my God, Wicked. Obvious Wicked. Yeah, I think Wicked is my favorite musical of all time. Fun Home is amazing. Rent is amazing. I could keep going. I'm showing a side of myself right now, aren't I? I've never seen Chicago, the musical, but I've always wanted to, and The Phantom of the Opera. And Death Becomes Her, but I know that one's closing on Broadway soon. I don't know when I'll have the chance. Sorry. Short answer, I love musicals, and those are my favorites. Okay, I think we're gonna end with this one. Mia asked me what my favorite Twilight characters are. Again, guys, I love your questions! I have always said the answer to this question is kind of complicated, but like at the end of the series, like after it all, who is my favorite? I love Alice and I love Emmett. Those are the two who I think throughout the series are the best. Just completely unproblematic divas. I love when they're on screen. I'm never having a bad time when they're involved. But I've always said I'm Team Emmett. For sure. And I told that to Kellen Lutz, actually. The first time I ever met him, I was like, hey, I've always been Team Emmett. And he was like, all about it. High-fived me. We hugged. It was great. I love Kellen. He's so great. The entire cast of Twilight is so great. And the ones who go to the cons, I can't speak for every single human being on that cast, obviously. But the 4 of them in particular that go to a bunch of the conventions, they're all so sweet and so lovely. I will say, though, this is perhaps my hottest Twilight take. New Moon is my favorite in the entire series, book and movie. And, this is also a hot take, up until Jacob becomes a werewolf, spoiler, imagine, spoilers, up until Jacob becomes a werewolf, he is the better of the 2 guys. I like him, he's a nicer guy. Bella should have picked him. He becomes a werewolf and then he becomes kind of a dick a little bit, but like, in the beginning, he was so sweet and so lovely, and I don't understand what she didn't see in him. I don't get it. And if you're gonna tell me I'm wrong, you cannot use a single piece of evidence that comes from after he turned into a werewolf. Okay? Okay. And I think that'll do it, friends. Damn, guys. Wow. This has been quite the episode. If you're still here, wow, you did it. Please do me a favor. Keep an eye on my socials. Please at least pretend you care about the music that I'm releasing. I'm semi-nervous that no one's gonna care. I'm very excited about it, though. I love you guys. I love spending time with you. Thank you for spending your time with me. Stay sexy, stay yappy, keep the bits up, guys, and I'll talk to you next month.